The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
What's up, it's Aaron Carter. You're watching ADoseOfLandis.
You just got your dose here today at Throwback. Fort Wayne Wizards, baby. Thank you very much.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Hey, man, this is Donnie Baker, and you're watching ADoseOfLandis. You have to. Stay ball.
Jake Roberts, and you're watching A Dose of Landis, which is better than catching a clap.
Welcome to Heroes and Legends Professional Wrestling. Here I am, your host, Jeff Landis. Tonight you can see tons of great action, and it's kind of cool because I get to host, and we're going to have tons of guests. Jim Cornette's going to be on. Sergeant Slaughter's here tonight. Mark Henry's going to be here tonight. Tons of big names here. Not only that, what we have professional wrestling matches, a pre-show battle royal. Terry Taylor's here already. We see tons of big names. Congo Kong's here. Tons of huge names. But, you know, this is kind of making one of my dreams come true because I get to actually do a show from ringside. Kind of the old school retro feel of how everything. So tonight, what can you expect here at Heroes and Legends? Great interviews, great action, and great surprises. So stay tuned for some more stuff like Heroes and Legends at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum at the Expo Center 1. Come on out now. Welcome to Heroes and Legends. Here I am, your host, Jeff Landis, along with...
What, are you not going to give me a big introduction? I wrote it out for you and everything. What's the matter? I paid you $6 to say this. Jim Cornette, pro wrestling legend, friend to furry woodland creatures, the star of the show today, Heroes and Legends, Fort Wayne, the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. We are cooking today.
Yeah, he's taking over. So what do you got planned tonight? I heard that you got a Q&A. What can you give us a little example of what you're going to do tonight, or what's going on?
Well, it's 5 o'clock, and I'm going to be answering questions, hence the Q part and the A part. They Q and I A. And you can expect the unexpected because any question that I get asked, I will answer it. If I don't want to answer your question, I'll just answer a different question.
Oh, it will turn on you. Now, speaking of that, you got your own podcast as well. Tell a little bit about your podcast.
Well, I got a couple of them. The Jim Cornette Experience drops, as the children say, every Thursday, where I talk about a little bit of everything. And then Corny's Drive-Thru, where the viewers get to ask their questions. I drops every Monday, and I do the same thing. I promulgate and disseminate my wisdom to the masses.
Wow, so he's got a lot to say. He never holds back. I've seen in a lot of your shoot promos.
Well, I'm holding back right now. I'd like to punch you right in the mouth, but I'm holding back.
Anything can. A friend of mine. Yeah. I hope so.
Give me that $6 back. See? They love me here in Fort Wayne.
For sure. For people that's ever met Jim Cornette for the first time, what do you want to say to people that's never seen you in person?
For people that have never met me before and are meeting me for the first time,
tonight,
bring money.
It's true. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for...
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages. Come on out to the Heroes and Legends event at the War Memorial Coliseum in Fort Wayne. As you can tell, there's already a massive audience here and even more waiting to see you. We want to see your face in the place. My heavens, it's Theodore.
Oh, hey, how's it going, Teddy Long? How are you?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to come in and say hello to my friend Jim Cornette. I don't know you, so I don't really care.
Oh.
I love you, Theodore.
Hey, I love you too.
Thank
you. I'm just messing with you, player. Cool. You got a little something on your eye right there.
Oh,
man.
I got a skin tag.
It's called his face.
Skin tag.
They're looking for a cure for that face, but they haven't come up with one so far.
You're in good shape for Halloween, player.
But in parting, Jeff, me and Teddy Long would both like to wish everybody out there in your audience love, peace and soul.
So come out, Heroes and Legends. Like I said, Teddy Long is here. So anything you want to say to the fans coming out here tonight?
I just want to say come on out and spend some money. Holla.
It's all about that dollar and a holla.
We're so money oriented. We're capitalists. We're capitalists here.
Well, we got to have it. I tell you what, you try living without it.
You know, Teddy, my wife is so ungrateful. I fed her yesterday, turned around today, she wants to eat again.
Wow. You better get a divorce.
Thanks, Jeff.
Not a problem.
Come on, player. Let's talk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you never know what to expect at Heroes and Legends. See you guys later. Here I am, Jeff Landis, along with Animal. How you doing tonight?
Good, bro. How you doing? It's always great to be back in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
So what can we expect? Like I said, this is my first time meeting you and seeing you in person. What can people coming out here to Fort Wayne, Indiana at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum expect from you tonight?
Well, you know, everybody needs to come out here, man. If you're a true fan of sport and you like to see a lot of young talent of today and you want to see the legends, there's about 6 or 7 Hall of Famers here today, you know, you got myself, Mark Henry, Farouk, Jeff Jarrett. You got a lot of the nation domination guys. You got Mark Henry, D'Lo. You got Barry Windham going to be here today. You got Teddy Long. You got Jim Cornette, one of the best managers in wrestling, and myself. You're gonna get entertained as a fan, man. You're gonna get your money's worth. Come on out. You can take a photo, take an 8x10. You can see my spiked shoulder pads right here. You can put my spiked shoulder pads on for a photo. It's a great fan experience, man. So if you've never been to a Heroes and Legends show, you need to get your butt out here today.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching at Heroes and Legends. Hello, here I am, Jeff Landis, along with Francine. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing tons of interviews, having a great week. So what can we expect here at Heroes and Legends for people that's never seen you?
Who has never seen me?
I'm talking about in person.
I'm very personable. You come by my table. There's 8x10s. We do pictures, and I'll answer any questions that you have.
So what all are you doing? Just doing autographs and stuff like that tonight?
We're just doing autographs today. We'll be here till 6 o'clock.
So for instance, if there's any promoters out there that wants to book you for any events like today or just around, and how can we get on?
They can email Francine inquiries at ECW. Wait, what's my address? Yeah. Francine ECW inquiries at gmail.com. No, I don't know my own address.
It happens.
I don't email it. I don't know it.
It's like me trying to call my cell phone. Anything you want to say to the fans out there right now?
I appreciate everybody's support, and I hope to see you at a convention soon.
Hello, here I am, Jeff Landis, along with Jeff Jarrett. How you doing today?
Good. How you doing, man?
Excited to be here at Heroes and Legends. Now, is this your first time at Heroes and Legends?
It is. It is. I do conventions literally all over the world, so it's nice to be somewhat in my neck of the woods. I'm just right down the road in Tennessee, so getting to come to Fort Wayne. I've wrestled in this building many times. I've been coming to Fort Wayne for wrestling business, gosh, a long time, 20, 25 years.
Nice. Now, what can we expect of you here tonight at Heroes and Legends?
You know what? You're just going to have to stick around and see. But I know there's a few guitars around here. I'm signing some autographs, T-shirts. The Hall of Fame is what an incredible year it's been. But a lot of talk, a lot of chatter, people coming up congratulating me about the Hall of Fame. So it's been a really, really good day, and I enjoy doing these conventions.
Congratulations, by the way. We're here with
F&M Wrestling Memorabilia. Yes, F&M Wrestling Memorabilia. Great folks.
Oh, yeah, great folks. What all do you got here tonight for the fans that want to come in and see what you got? Like,
what do you think we have? How hard is that?
You've got shirts, you got guitars. I better do this right because Cornette threatened to slap me. I don't want him to hit me with a guitar. So, anything you want to say to your fans at all?
I enjoy coming out and seeing them. And these type of conventions are this day and age. It's really, really. We always have a good time coming out. Fans come up, they reminisce about different eras: WCW, WWF, TNA. Japan, Puerto Rico, just throughout my career, so it's a lot of fun.
Come here to Heroes and Legends, some great action, great legends. You never know what to expect. He might be in the ring tonight. Who knows? I don't know. Who knows? So come here tonight at Heroes and Legends. Welcome to Heroes and Legends. Here I am, your host, Jeff Landis. You know, I haven't had Dan on, and actually going through my timeline on Facebook, you realize that we've known each other for 2 years, working together for 2 years?
Well, I know it's been over at least a couple of years, but I think that I came down to Fort Wayne to your studio, and we did some stuff in your studio at that point in time.
Yeah, it was when I was.
We are again down in Fort Wayne here once again, but now we're at the War Memorial Coliseum.
Yes, here at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. Great things going on. Tons of legends. Right, we just interviewed Jeff Jarrett, and we had Jim Cornette on, and Teddy Long just came in and interrupt. You know how it is when I do interviews.
Well, to me, it's like when you get a bunch of wrestlers together. Come on now, I think a wrestling match might break out.
Yes, I was.
Impromptu.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, Dan, I want to tell you very much, thank you very much for everything you've done. You helped me out a lot with my TV career, with, going the avenue of getting doing this.
You're a good person there, Jeff, and to me, it's like I don't mind helping good people on out. And so if it helped you in the ways or I can interview a few more people, I'm happy for you.
And I appreciate, like I said, I owe a ton to you for everything. So you're here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Of course, you know, you're a regular from Fort Wayne from doing your MMA events and everything else. What are you doing here at Heroes and Legends tonight here in Fort Wayne?
Well, you can kind of see I've got quite the nice little setup here right now. I even have electronics going down there so that if the millennials happen to walk along and they're like, who's this Dan the Beast Severn? They can actually see some crash, bang, boom of professional wrestling this, mixed martial arts that, some interesting interviews. So just to kind of entertain them for at least a 15-minute type of a loop. So, you know, I'm here just really just doing an appearance. And then by later on this evening, I will be heading towards Arizona.
Oh, yeah, Arizona. You're everywhere around and everywhere.
I doubt if there's many people, even up to half my age, that could even keep up with the schedule. I can't keep up with my own schedule at times.
Heck, all the time that we're talking, I'm like, so how you doing, Dan? What's going on? I'm busy. I'm like, all right, I understand. That's why I keep it sweet and short with them. Like I said, this guy has done a lot for me. I appreciate everything. I was going to say I'm very humble to you, and thank you very much. I'm glad we had this opportunity to do an interview again.
Well, again, what a lot of people don't understand is that if you were to think about that, the cliche that variety is the spice of life, if that's the case, then I have got to be the spiciest person I know, because I have never put all my eggs in one basket. I could actually lose 2 or 3 of my careers, and it wouldn't slow me down. It just means I have more time to spend in the other 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 careers. So that's when people don't realize, when I say I'm on the road 20-some days out of the month, I'm on the road 20-some days out of the month. I mean, between speaking engagements, seminars, but then working on the seminar circuit, law enforcement, corrections, air marshal, border patrol, military. Mine's all basically when all things go wrong and now you hit the ground. Mine is a especially ground combative type of program that kicks in there. And there's a lot of these first responders industries that I mentioned that I don't know who came up with their program, but they sure did not think it through very well. I hate to say it's wrong, but a lot of the stuff, there's a lot of things that they can really do to improve upon for the normal person.
And this guy has ever anything to say to the fans watching right now?
Oh, no, just folks, if you want to know more about the man they call the Beast, go to my website at www.dansevern.com, and you can see a complete variety of things that I do. Starting a career back in 7th grade in my amateur wrestling in 1969.
So stay tuned for some more interviews here at Heroes and Legends.
If you let it eat you up, it will eat you up. There's guys out there in that building. There's guys all over the place that have great talent, have worked hard, have sacrificed, and they get nowhere in wrestling. But yet, the Ultimate Warrior and Sable both become millionaires, and neither one knew Kamir from Sikkim about the wrestling business, didn't want to learn. I've witnessed Sable say, I'm not going to do that. Luna was going to hit her with a belt one night for a fucking angle, and she said, oh, no, I might get hurt. So Luna ended up hitting her in the kidneys, pushing it in from behind. And her, what the fuck? Luna wanted to fucking stretch her ass. But anyway, that's the thing is, sometimes if the right person in the right place with the right television platform or promotion decides that they want to push you, then you don't really have to have any talent or desire or whatever, because you just get stuck in that spot, the Ultimate Warrior and Sable. And in other times, it's because life isn't fair. Look who's in the fucking White House. Life can't be fair or even make any sense. Who gave me this? Are they in this room? Somebody gave it to me today. Apparently not. Fuck Trump. That's what I have to say. So, but anyway, it's that way. It's not fair. So anyway, in answer to your question and 7 others, that's what that was. Who's next? Okay, all right, go ahead.
I didn't throw it up that high. I got a 2-parter here, and I've been working on this for a while. Okay. So, dead wrestlers. And sorry to bring that up.
Dead wrestler. Well, thank you for brightening the tone. Let's talk about kicking puppies when we get finished. Want to do that? No, go ahead.
Are the puppies dead? I'd rather kick them than kill them.
Give me the question.
Okay. If you could bring back any wrestler that has shuffled loose the mortal coil unceremoniously, who would it be?
Oh, what? Do you have 10 dead friends?
Yes, I do.
Pick which one you want to bring back.
Doug.
Okay, all right. This hard-hearted bastard to be able to do it. I mean, you know, there's people as friends I would want to bring back, or there's people as a wrestling fan I'd want to bring back both Jackie and Don Fargo, and when they were 25 years old, so I could watch them wrestle in their youth, which I never got to see. If it was friends, Boss Man. You know, he died literally 2 weeks before the first Midnight Express reunion in 2004. If that had not happened, he would have been on all those shows with us for those several years where we're doing all the Charlotte Fan Fest and the reunions and everything, because he was part of the team, you know, and it just, right as Dennis had moved back and decided to get back involved in wrestling, and we're getting everybody back together again after 15 years, and you know, we had the first one scheduled in Philly for Ring of Honor, and Bubba was not to be a part of that, but he would have been, and then, you know, it was like 2 weeks beforehand or whatever in 2004. So, but I mean, there's Lance Russell, for fuck's sake. I mean, you know, you can't, I'd bring everybody back that's dead that I liked. And then some of them that I didn't like, they died, I'd bring them back so I could fucking kill them. I've just got all this power, you know, might as well.
Okay, well, part 2, I think you're going to have fun with. Not kill anybody.
Okay.
But
well, automatically it's less appealing, but we'll see.
Who would you take away from what they've done to the industry or the business, quote unquote? And you can't say Vince Russo.
You said that name.
I said it.
So wait a minute, clarify this question for me. Who would I?
Somebody that's done something
stupid in the wrestling business, and I could just twinkle my nose like Samantha Stevens and they'd be gone.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Bewitched.
You know, here's the thing. I've said before, I'm sorry, I know a lot of people like Kenny Omega. And I'm not saying he's the answer to this question. I'm fixing to clarify that. A lot of people like Kenny Omega. I wish I could, but I can't, because he wrestled fucking blow-up dolls and grade school children in competitive matches in front of fucking people. And it lives on video and people have seen it. So I don't care how good a wrestler he is. I don't care if he could fucking bring Luthez back from the dead and stretch him. Fuck him. We have nothing to talk about. Because that's just the same thing as somebody abusing my fucking dog, right? The lack of respect, the disrespect, the shitting on the business of that, being stupid, and who wants to watch that anyway? A guy wrestling a fucking blow-up doll, and the blow-up doll kicking his ass. It's fucking stupid. But I do recognize that he does have athletic talent. I think he's a little too Ultimate Warrior-ish. He has those goofy facial expressions, and he does this a lot, which is what I thought of him when he was a rookie and I saw him, before I knew he wrestled blow-up dolls. But I'm sorry, I can't. It's like I never met Eddie Mansfield. Never wanted to. I thought that somebody should have beat the shit out of him, broke his legs, left him in a ditch. He exposed the business that he was allowed to be in. This used to be like the mafia. It was almost impossible to get in the wrestling business, but once you got in, you were in for life and you were going to make some money. Now any fucking jackleg can get in the wrestling business. You hardly can make any money at it, but anybody can get in it, and it's just, it sucks to me that it would not have been tolerated. If a guy did half the shit to some with the invisible hand grenade bullshit, and 6 people take a bump over the top rope when it blows up.
And the ref.
And the referee. I saw that on video. If those guys went back to a locker room in the old days, their shit would already be out in the back parking lot. Their bags would be out in the back parking lot, and they'd be out there as soon as the boys finished with them. Because that was taking money away from everybody's family and off their table. Because they were shitting on the business, they were demeaning it, disrespecting it, making it look stupid that nobody should spend money on or emotionally invest in. But like I said, Omega, he's got talent. I know some people say he's the best wrestler in the world. Well, maybe these days that's like being the nicest guy in prison. You know, it's not that big of an honor. But to compare him with some of the greats, the Races and the Funks and the Steamboats and the Flairs and whatever, I'm sorry, blow me. And all these other outlaw fucks, you know, that do the stupid, goofy stunts that you see on tape with the thumbtacks and the flaming tables and coming off the balcony or whatever. I view them like I view the Tosh.0 videos of the guy that's trying to ride a fucking flattened out cardboard box down the side of the Matterhorn, or jump a bicycle between fucking 60-story skyscrapers in New York. I root for their death. And I want it to be as painful as possible because it's entertaining to me. Because it's the law of natural selection. If you're that stupid that you couldn't see this shit coming when I can see it from 10 seconds to the setup of the video, you deserve it, right? But the person who I would twinkle my nose and get rid of is Joey Ryan. Because not only does he not have any discernible talent for actual real pro wrestling, not only does he look like a half-cooked brown and serve roll covered in pubic hair, but this whole dick throw thing, and people that I actually kind of like that go along with Mick went along with, because Mick's the nicest guy, and he always wants to get people over, and I, meanwhile, like, if he dies, he dies. This fucking guy, he doesn't deserve to get over because he's raping the business. Anybody can get over if they're just allowed to do stupid shit like that nobody else is allowed to do. Well, then you get over, yes. But that's why when promoters and bookers that were responsible were in charge of the business, they didn't let one guy do whatever he wanted and get over at the expense of everybody else in the business. Because how stupid does that make somebody if they grab a guy's dick and then get thrown across the ring by it? It's phony, it's fucking disrespectful, it's bullshit, and it's not even something that you can make a case as funny, because once you've seen it, you've fucking seen it, people are already getting tired of it. So fuck this fucking guy and his fucking dick. And I've been in the locker room with him and I've seen it. I don't think he could throw much of anything with it, right? But that's what's turned me off to wrestling over the past few years, to the point where everybody thinks I'm so sour on all of it, because I have been, because that's all I see. People send me, and most of the time it's people that like me and agree with, you know, the way I think, but they're, look at this motherfucker, because they want me to verbally eviscerate this guy, right, and cut a promo on him. But all I see is these stupid fucking stunts. This guy, he's setting his head on fire to do a diving headbutt. This really happened. A guy set his head on fire, had a fucking turban on, sets the head on fire, do a diving headbutt. And the other guy does the elbow off the wall and misses the fucking table and everything. Yeah.
He tweeted you back though.
I met him.
Yeah,
he's this fucking tall.
He thought of besides his wife and his kid.
Yeah, well, I'm sure his wife and his kid were probably thinking of somebody else after they saw him do this. He's this fucking tall. He weighs about 140 pounds. That's why he didn't die. Because he didn't have enough body weight to hit the ground hard enough to die. It fucked his elbow up.
Yeah.
But that's all I was seeing was the guy throwing the guy with the dick, and the guy wrestling the doll, and the guy doing all this stuff. And I just thought, well, I'm just not going to watch any of this. But over the past few months, besides the revival, I like them.
I know.
Walter, somebody showed me Walter. Okay, I like Walter. I could have done something with Walter.
After you talked about it on the podcast.
And you know what? He hasn't had a lot of experience, a lot of main event experience. He hadn't had a lot of international experience working with real veterans. But I'd put him in a fucking suit, and I'd give him that attitude like Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. If he dies, he dies. And he's got the sunglasses on and expensive shit, but then when he strips down, he's a badass MMA machine, except he needs a main event gear. If you watch his matches, you notice he never loses his shit. When he gets finally knocked down by the smaller guy, he needs to pop back up. Like, did anybody see that? Motherfucker, like I'm embarrassed. Or he needs to get fucking stunned, like, what the, how did he do that? Or later on, he needs to get mad and just start throwing at this fucking guy, right? He needs to be more emotional and project that to be a main event guy, but already he's doing. Point is, I like him. The NWA 70th last weekend, I thought Aldis and Cody did a great job. The guys on the undercard, they were working hard, but the first 2 or 3 matches, they went so fast without stopping that even the announcers couldn't get them over, couldn't tell anything about their background, because what, in the middle of this car wreck, we're gonna have, this guy played high school football? No. So you can't, nobody had time to digest anything. I think it was the 2nd or 3rd match of that Laredo kid, the kid in the mask, and Barrett Brown or whatever. I swear to God I said this out loud. I haven't watched the tape back, but I know I blurted it out. One of them grabbed the front face locket. I said, look, a hold! And that's a punishing hold there. That I was just surprised. It was the first hold of the night. It was 30 minutes into the show. And so I know they're working hard and they want to take advantage of their time and give the best performance they can, but this is it's just like watching, it's a pinball game, but you're not keeping score. It's just bouncing back and forth, right? They need to understand there needs to be action when there needs to be action, but first the people need to be invested in it. I always used to tell the guys at OVW, if you start out at 100 miles an hour, you got nowhere to go, and you've run off and left them. Lock up, grab a headlock, and somebody have a pissy facial expression so I know which one's the heel, and somebody maybe, do a little baby face stuff so I know who the baby face is, and then do all your shit, because now I'm a little bit more invested. But when you start out at 100 miles an hour, blah. It just keeps going that way.
I've got a question.
Okay, since you're plugged in, we'll let you.
Yeah, I'm hot. I have a question. What do you, any suggestions for somebody like myself who is disabled and honestly wants to learn the business? I've been a wrestling fan since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. I've constantly wanted to learn and get the psychology, and just because of my situation, I can't obviously get in the ring and wrestle.
Right.
But I'm a sponge. I want to learn. I want to get the ins and outs of everything, production,
Well, that's a long, tall order. I mean, to get the ins and outs, I'm still figuring it out. After 42 years being involved in wrestling in some way or another, I still learn shit. As far as learning about the business, there's 3 books. There's The Fall Guys by Marcus Griffin. That's the Bible of wrestling. You got to get a reprint on the internet. And Tim Hornbaker has done those great books on the National Wrestling Alliance and Capital Wrestling, the WWWF. And now the 3rd one that he's done is just out, Death of the Territories. And that gives you kind of an overview of everything related to wrestling. And then, this may be a controversial statement, you will learn more from reading Rip Rogers' Twitter and the Wrestling Observer than you will from most wrestling schools these days, because they have no agenda and they're not taking up for anybody. And there's some people say Dave Meltzer doesn't know what he's talking about. Those people are all lying sacks of shit. Because he's the smartest guy that. Bruce is just doing that. He's just doing it, and people buy it because, but Bruce knows he's full of shit. And he knows, Bruce knows he's full of shit. And also he knows that Meltzer's right, but it's something he does for his show because he's working.
Yeah.
But a lot of other people think that Meltzer doesn't know what he's talking about. He studied the business for the past 40 years. He knows more than most people in the business, especially for somebody who has been a reporter but not actively promoted, etc. And also, like I said, Rip Rogers' Twitter, because he manages to, with a lot of misspellings and a bunch of fucks in there, teach you more about the way to think about wrestling if you're a wrestler than almost any school out there today. So I would say those would be a good place to start. Spend a year or 2 with those and then get back with me. I'll give you some added reading.
Okay, sounds like fun.
One of the guys over here now, anybody? Aha!
What's been your favorite Back to the Territories to do, whether it be something you found out while researching or just the interview learning new information that you didn't know?
I really liked J.J. Dillon on the Carolinas, and I had fun with Kevin Sullivan on Florida. Doug, I love Hacksaw Duggan in Mid-South. We talk about Mid-South all day, but the thing with Duggan was never in the office. He was a top wrestler, but he was never in the office, whereas J.J. was in the office in the Carolinas, Kevin was in the office in Florida, so they had a little bit more. I'm a business nerd. I love the business statistics and facts and figures and things behind the scenes and etc. And really all of them have been. Baron von Raschke was I love the Baron. He's a nice man, but he was a bit of a challenge on the WWA because he wouldn't knock anybody. He was saying bad about it. He was a nice man. Bruiser, he was a nice man. Sirhan, he was a nice man, because the Baron is such a nice man. So there was not a lot of pithy, well, they should have done this. But all of them really, but I like the Carolinas and Florida were 2 of my favorites. And the problem is so many of the territories now, guys that were really heavily involved in the office as well as being, top guys in the ring, a lot of them gone. And we tried to get Kevin Von Erich for Dallas, but he's in Hawaii. And he was going to come in for the Legends of the Ring thing, and then I guess that fell through, and they weren't going to fly him from Hawaii just for the one DVD. So I was really looking forward to that. Anyway.
Never been to anything like this before.
Oh boy, you'll never come back again. He's thinking, they got me one time, but fuck that, they'll never get me again.
But it feels a little awkward when you see talent that you appreciate what they've done. You wouldn't mind going up and saying something, but with a finite amount of money, it feels weird when you see that guy sitting there by themselves at the table and, man, I'd like to go say something. But then they look at you like, hey, I got nothing I can say that they haven't heard a million times before, and I'm not buying a picture, so it just feels weird. So on that side of the table, do you like being approached by, hey, what's up?
Believe me, first of all, if I didn't like talking to fans about wrestling, I'd be home with my wife who's currently making soup in the Instapot and playing with my Pomeranian.
Is that universal?
No, because I'm strange. No, I'm not going to lie to you. Some guys do this for the money. Some because they need it, and some just because they never have enough of it. But you can kind of tell in their interaction with you if they're really just like, okay, And I'm also not going to lie. There's been a time at almost every convention or fan fest or Comic-Con or whatever that I've been to where somebody was being nice, meaning well, but just wouldn't, and sometimes people will come up and they'll stare at you. And you're like, it's hard, but the give and take is hard, but all in all, I like hearing that what we did made an impression on people. And I feel the same way, because if I could go up to, the guys that I used to watch growing up when I was 12 or 13 years old, if I could go up to Bobby Heenan, Dick the Bruiser, and Jackie Fargo, and all these guys, which some of them I had a chance to. I'd never spent enough time around Bruiser, but Bobby, I got a chance to tell him how much I stole from him and how much I enjoyed watching him. So it's the same thing, just different generations. But if you do this to me and you don't want to hear the fans tell you how good you are, I think you need to go fucking home then. Because, if it wasn't for you guys, I don't drive 500 miles round trip from my home and spend a weekend in Fort Wayne just for fun, particularly. I am being compensated, but we can also always make our own fun, and there's people digging ditches, so it's not like this is goddamn laborious. I've seen some of the way some guys, treat people. I kind of guess, I hated the wrestler, the one with Mickey Rourke, not the one with Vern Gagne, because I don't have a big family anymore. I got a couple of cousins and et cetera, but I'm just thinking they don't know that much about wrestling, and they never got. My uncle one time, shortly before he died, this was years ago, he asked my mother, he said, and this is when I was on TBS, managing the World Tag Team Champions, making almost $200,000 a year in 1986, right? He said, is Jimmy ever going to quit that wrestling stuff and get a job? Because he didn't get it, right? But when I saw in The Wrestler, there's the guys, they're nodded off at the autograph table, and the success story in the piece has a used car lot in Phoenix. That's what we all have to aspire to, That depressed me. But, there's some guys, like I said, just do it for the money and don't really enjoy it. There's some that, can make happiness out of it, and everybody gets what they want, and I identify because I was a fan too. The very first wrestling show I ever went to live, May 15th, 1974, I was not in the building 3 minutes before I was standing over at picture table. And for the next 2 years, until I started being the one to take the pictures, if there was a picture on it, because it was 8x10, black and white 8x10s for 50 cents, right? So if there was a picture on that table, I bought it. If there was a wrestler in that picture that I got in front of me, or I saw at the concession stand, or I got it signed, right? I did all that stuff. And then, truthfully, when I got into business, I didn't want to be, Cornet's already looks like a mark enough, right? So there's all kinds of autographs I could have got. And I was like 20 years there where I wanted to be one of the boys, so I didn't get, and then finally I got old enough and I got successful enough, I said, fuck it, and I started having people sign shit again. And I got some really cool stuff that I've got hanging on my office wall. But during those 20 years, you know, I was there when Ric Flair and Buddy Rogers were at that hotel at a Resi's convention in New York. 2 o'clock in the morning, I come down to get changed for the Coke machine. And there's Flair and Buddy Rogers at the payphone prank calling people. Because that's what they did. What else are they going to be doing at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? They're outside the bar closed, they're drunk, now they're prank calling. And I, you know, just that kind of shit, right? So yes, all of the above, to answer your question. But I'm glad you came. I hope you're going to come back to something again for another sometime.
And kind of along those lines, I just like remembered you were there live, and it kind of went viral. The crying wrestling fan when he said, "It's still real to me."
Oh, David Wills. I asked him about that after. He just got overcome. I didn't know him beforehand. But obviously, you know, it was me and the Midnight Express and Terry Funk in the ring, and that's how I got on Tosh.0. This is great. But David told me he just got overcome. He said at seeing Terry Funk, you know, he crippled himself and given his body for our entertainment, and seeing the Midnight Express there, and he just got overcome with emotion. And said, it's just still real to me, damn it. And it, you know, yeah, that went viral, but he's actually almost normal. He's a nice guy and you know, educated and you know, didn't do that many psychedelics. So, but you know, he was overcome with emotion. But that, you know, Dennis Condrey said he was looking around for a bottle or something in case the guy got out of hand. Fortunately, it didn't come to that. Anybody? Okay.
I've had a question. What is your opinion on the BWO?
I like all the guys in it. I think Stevie Richards is a hell of a worker. As a matter of fact, he was there the night that we won the World Tag Team title in Philadelphia at the Civic Center. He said that's the night he decided he wanted to be a wrestler. He told me this personally. That's a big honor. And media, and you know, and Nova, you know, when he came to OVW, you know, he did a fantastic job. He was my champion. I used him, you know, as best I could. I guess they didn't. It was a parody thing, but at the same time, they still, once again, I'll harken back to what I said earlier. They didn't go out there and just have obvious jack-off joke matches where the people that they were supposedly competing against, they suddenly started doing a cooperative dance routine or whatever. So it was a 90s parody thing, and everything was getting wild in the Attitude Era. So you know, it's not like heinous or anything, but I thought each of those individual guys, and once again, like I said, you know, Sable and Ultimate Warrior get used. Each of those individual guys was more talented than just to copy somebody else's shit, but that's how they got noticed. And you know, this is not particularly very popular, but I think the Attitude Era was probably the worst thing that ever happened to wrestling. When you think about it this way, because not only did it get so hot that all the television broadcasting companies got involved. It was great for Vince McMahon and the WWF. It should have been great for WCW, but Bischoff and Shitstain run them into the fucking wall at 60 miles an hour. But they were making tons of money off television. But when wrestling got that mainstream, and everybody started to pick it apart, and everybody started to want to know more about it, and everybody started blabbing all the secrets, and then at the same time you have the corporate ownership and the corporate money coming in. What's the recipe in wrestling for disaster? Add suits. Whether it be Jim Herd and WCW or all the people that didn't understand the business, didn't know why we all liked it. And then you have everybody trying to one-up everybody, and then comes the wink-wink, the worked shoot. Okay, that means by then extension of logic that all the other shit that you've been showing us for the past 20 years is all phony? I've had 100 people in my career go to jail on purpose trying to or succeeding taking a swing at me. Or pumping me in the nose or the mouth or whatever the fuck. 100. Been 15 lawsuits, etc., etc. All of those people didn't know wrestling was bullshit, right? They got caught up in what we were doing because we didn't slap them in the face with the fact that we were all play acting like people get slapped in the face with your fucking next door neighbor's fucking kids' vacation pictures. Here, look how cute my kids are. It's the same thing here. Wrestling's phony. What are you, an idiot? When you do that, I know David Copperfield didn't make the goddamn Statue of Liberty disappear. I don't know how he did it. And unless he tells me, I'm probably not going to be able to figure it out. So I'm going to keep watching, because sooner or later I'm going to see that wire or whatever, right? But now it's like, oh yeah, everything's bullshit. Yeah, here's how we do it. Okay, thank you. Case closed. Now we get people who really liked what we used to do before, or who are just so enamored of the art form that they will watch it even knowing. But several things, just brief things to think about. What's the most popular thing in wrestling now? Websites and shoot interviews. Why? Because that's real. Even y'all know wrestling's fake. That's real. Right? Also, when you it drives me crazy when they say, well, Vince McMahon used to say this, we don't want to insult the fans' intelligence anymore. Well, it's insulting my intelligence when these two guys are trying to rip each other's nuts off out here in the ring, and then I see them on fucking Twitter with a vacation picture of them hanging out on the French Riviera together. Right. That insults my intelligence.
That's exposing the business.
Here's another thing. Nobody used to, until you could get in the ring anytime you wanted to, but nobody used to know what a vertical suplex felt like, right? Sure looked like it wasn't something you wanted to have happen to you. But once all these idiots get in there and do all these fucking vertical suplexes and pop right up without selling it, or all these big moves, okay, now I know that shit doesn't hurt anybody. Except it actually does. So what they've done is they've gone from a business where the object was to simulate a conflict that would engage people enough to buy tickets to see the resolution of that while still not hurting each other, to actually really legitimately beating the piss out of each other and selling tickets to people who know it's all fucking gaga. So who's the marks? We are now. We're the marks. Because you guys are, and it's not that you don't deserve to, but I don't even say you guys. You guys are respectful fans. But the average fan of the WWF show dictates to the wrestlers now what the wrestlers, oh, we got to hurry up. Boy, we can't stop like the NWA show. We can't stop or they'll go boring. So we're going to fucking knock the shit out of each other and go as fast as we can and take chances of injury to make sure that we have the best 8-minute match possible and third match spot on the card. It used to be, I'm a star, you paid to see me. I'm going to go out there and do my thing. And if my thing is good, then you'll come back to see me again. If my thing ain't good, the booker's going to fire me and get somebody whose thing is good. That's the way it works. We have completely switched positions from the cart to the horse. And that's not, I mean, when I go to the movies, if it's a sucky movie, I just won't ever watch it again, or probably any movie that anybody in it is in. But I don't sit there and rewrite it on the spot and go, hey, hurry up! Hurry up! We got to get to dinner. Can you knock out the 7th reel? Just hurry, get to the finish. Anyway.
All right, for the Hall of Fame, when Midnight Express goes in, which incarnation do you feel should go in, or should it be all?
It's got to be, well, I'll say, I don't know if anybody can find Norvell Austin. I haven't seen him in 30 years. And Randy Rose, I love him, but the Midnight Express was Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey, and Stan Lane. And if they ever, I've said this before, and obviously I proved I would do business with them last year. I didn't think they put the rock and roll in, but I think so many of the people, the agents, Road Dogg, Brian Armstrong, all those guys that work up there now are such fans of the rock and roll that I believe that and Vince was like, okay, you know, because it's Vince's final choice. But they've never featured people in the Hall of Fame that didn't primarily work there, or that they couldn't make a case for, okay, here's a main event guy, Sting. You know, here's a main event guy. Because they have to have their quota. I've mentioned this. They have to have a main event guy to sell tickets. They have to have a woman, a tag team, African American, celebrity, and somebody dead. Seriously. And maybe the dead's not mandatory. But, you know, they have to fill those quotas. the Midnight Express, if any non-WWF tag team deserves to go in, it would be them. They were the best tag team in the decade. Will they? I don't know, because then I'd have to go in, and I don't know if they can put me in with some of the things that I may have said about people, especially, the fucking prick in the White House currently. That might be awkward. I said this to somebody maybe in the room earlier today. I see now so many similarities in Vince McMahon and Donald Trump, except that Vince is better groomed, more intelligent, more articulate, and probably would do a better job. But they're both the billionaires that they haven't gone to the grocery for themselves since 1982, and nobody can say no to them. They're not allowed to, and they just think the world revolves around them. I see similarities, but I think if they were going to put me in the Hall of Fame, they'd probably look back at some of my podcasts and go, oh shit, he's been mean to everybody. I'm not just talking about the shit I say about wrestling people. I'm talking about the shit I say about anybody. Then also, I've said I would be glad to accept if the Midnight Express, all three of them were going in, I'd be glad to, but then, they sometimes make you sign the Legends contracts. I don't intend to sign, it's not just WWE, I don't intend to sign a contract with anybody anymore for the rest of my life, except for per event. I will sign an agreement, I will be there. I did that for the Hall of Fame, and I had to clarify with them. This is for the Hall of Fame weekend, and anything I do in conjunction with that work, correct? Yes, okay, fine, boom. But, I'm past the point where, I want to do anything full-time or I don't want to be committed to anyone where I can't, if I want to go to Fort Wayne, I'm going to go to Fort Wayne. If I don't want to go to Fort Wayne, nobody's going to hold a gun to my head and make me go to Fort Wayne. Fuck it. I've earned that. I'm almost 60. I'm falling apart. So, and fortunately, I've been able to put myself in a position where I don't particularly have to. I don't have all the money in the world, but I have had in the past all the aggravation in the world. I'd rather have some of the money and none of the aggravation than all the money and all the aggravation.
What current wrestler or wrestler?
He just barely beat you.
What current wrestler or wrestlers do you think would have been best fit back in the heyday?
Okay, well, I mentioned the revival remind me of Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson because they grew up studying North Carolina wrestling. They especially, I didn't know this, but Scott Dawson, under another name, I saw him at a show in 2009 in North Carolina when I went over to do a Midnight Express thing. Holy shit, and I comped him to a Ring of Honor tryout camp because I was so, it was like, when you go to some of these shows, you know what you're getting, and then we're going to do our autographs and everything. All of a sudden, I'm like, well, fuck, this is like watching Barry Windham in the middle of a fucking, turd punch bowl. Holy shit. Just things that I would see that you couldn't really teach. He was just a natural. So I comped him on a Ring of Honor tryout camp and had him work one of the HDNet tapings, but I forgot wasn't anybody up there in Philly to work with him because he was working and they were doing spots, right? So anyway, he shaved his head, grew a beard, changed his name, and when I met him at the Hall of Fame, I said, I'm a big fan of yours. He said, I know. He pulled out his wallet and he had my number that I'd written for him like 8 years before that still in his wallet. He said, we grew up because I get a pretty good idea, an eye for talent. But I like them. I think that Seth Rollins, Tyler Black could have been a star in any era and environment. He's so athletic. He looks so good. He reminded me of Rick Rude. I wish we'd had more time in Ring of Honor with him for me to work with him because I was a fan of his. And plus, I'm not going to mention a bunch of the current guys because I don't watch that much current stuff. However, these guys still ain't senior citizens. I love Mark and Jay Briscoe. Greatest gimmick tag team, and because they're not a gimmick, they're real, they're legitimate. I love working with them. I haven't seen a lot of Adam Cole's recent stuff, but when we first got a hold of him, I said, well, here he is, a puppy with big paws. He's going to be fantastic. Jay Lethal, Samoa Joe, I don't see why Samoa Joe's not been a WWF champion yet. Well, I know why, because he and AJ both spent way too fucking long in, Dixie's dream house, her vanity project. I think that they made good money there, but I think Bobby Roode, James Storm, Samoa Joe, and AJ Styles, and thankfully AJ's gotten the opportunity, but they should have been on top in the WWF, and they, were there too long. But it was a better schedule and easier on their body, and it's still good money. But there's a lot. I'm a fan of any of these guys that look good and can work and understand the business and can get themselves over and can cut a bit of a promo and treat their business seriously. Then they will get respect from me, and they'll get any advice that I can give them. But if you got these guys out there doing all the shit I talked about before, or just, wrestling is an art form, and I can express my art in any manner, and it should be silly and fun. Well, you should be sodomized with a rusty fishing knife. So that's, I just the wrestlers making fun of the wrestling business or mocking it or winking at the audience was not only never done in my day, but if it had been, the other boys would have literally kicked the shit out of the guys. I mean, you had guys that got the shit kicked out of them in locker rooms for exposing the business or stooging things off to rats or whatever. Now they do it to millions of people and don't think anything of it because they're all entertainers. They're all entertainers now. And we're going to be entertainers, and we're going to be in TV and motion pictures. And all the girls, and I'm not being sexist, but almost all the girls, not Jazz, boy, I just saw her the other day, but a lot of the girls get in the business so they can get on television and get a following, so they can get jobs in major motion pictures and sitcoms or whatever. That's fine for them, but I don't feel like spending a lot of my time training and booking and helping get over somebody that's going to be around for 2 or 3 years and then fuck off. If you're serious about doing this, then I'll help you. You just want to get on fucking reality TV or whatever, then fly away, be free. So that, it's just, there's two groups. There's the group of kind of guys that can take this seriously and that I get into, and then there's just the fucking hoo-ha that I just don't get it. And, everybody says, he's just a bitter old man. Well, this bitter old man, not even guaranteed contract, just payoff, made $200,000 in a year 30 years ago doing what I did, so maybe my shit ain't so full of shit after all. Because I look at the other guys now and you? I know it's apples and oranges, but people were successful in wrestling for 100 years by keeping the illusion. Everybody knew there was something going on. They just didn't know what or how much or who did it or why or how it was done or to what extent. And you could get caught in shit, and at least it wasn't, just blatantly stupid to where you're like, oh, come on, they could even do better than that, Right. And that was what kept people coming back regularly to see what was going on. How many times a year, if you're a basketball fan, you go see the Boston Celtics? How many times you go see the Harlem Globetrotters? We've become a bunch of Globetrotters. Yeah, that's the thing now. The first year I was in the business, I literally worked 28 days a month, every month. Sometimes more. Sometimes we got just one Sunday a month off, right? For a year, and never left 3 states. Now there's guys that don't work 28 times in a year, and they got to do it in 4 different countries. What the fuck? The guys go to Australia for the same money I used to go to Greenville, South Carolina for. How is this evolution? Anyway, I digress. We still got some more time. You guys up next.
Yeah, just going to ask you if you could build a perfect wrestler. Okay, so you got in-ring skills, mic skills, physique, flying ability. Those 4, if you're going to build a perfect, so you can take, not the Ultimate Warrior, of course, but physique, whatever. So you can build a perfect wrestler taking those 4 points. Who would you do?
When they sent me Batista in Ohio Valley Wrestling, I looked at him, I said, if I could figure out a way to transplant my brain in your body for a year and a half, we'd both retire.
Was he Leviathan then?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah. But see, that's the thing is, and you can even take flying ability out of it. I mean, it's nice, but Terry Funk never did a moonsault until he was 50 years old. I was at ringside when he did it. I asked him, Terry, what the fuck are you doing? He said, I don't know, Corny. You have to, once again, the wrestlers' physiques. Vince is a big bodybuilding fan, right? So he's the one that, I mean, before it was a gimmick in wrestling if you had a great body. And usually the guys with great bodies in wrestling were the absolute worst workers. Superstar Billy Graham, Magnificent Zulu. The best bodies were the shits, but they looked great and they were unusual. So they got over even if they couldn't work because it was something you didn't see every day. Now that everybody is somewhat of a good body, especially in the 80s when everybody, had to, we know what's happened there. A bunch of people died, but you had to have a good body to be on television at the WWF. Even though they never made you take steroids. Well, fuck, if I see that in my chosen profession, the only people that are getting hired are people that are fucking painted green, I'm going to go paint myself green, right? So, but the bodies became more important. And then over the 90s, and when Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart got on top, then the performance became more important than the body. But still, Bret and Shawn, those guys looked like athletes. I like to say a lot of times the guys in the business now are fans of the performance of wrestling instead of the concept of wrestling. The concept of wrestling was always making money on a simulated conflict, and that's what led us for that long. But now the fans of the performance of wrestling is they want to go do those cool moves. And as long as they're 20, 25, 30 years old, those moves are cool. When they get to be 45 and they realize, oh shit, everything I got hurts, those moves ain't so fucking cool. You only have so many bumps in your bump card. But to me, as long as a guy looks like a professional athlete, and now the performance has gone out of whack where you have, what's that, somebody in here may know there's some internet darling now that has just recently wowed people because he does a bunch of flying stuff, but he's a little bitty, well, that could be any one of 20 different people, whatever, but now it's all performance, and so guys can be, when I was in Ring of Honor, I'd be doing the TV interviews, right? And there'd be the world champion, and I'd feel like a big bully. I'd go, so tell me, champ. Andre the Giant. To me, you have to look like a professional athlete because you play one on television. That doesn't mean you have to be jacked up on steroids or even as good as you guys look. It just means you have to look like a professional athlete, like somebody that can whip somebody, because that's what you're portraying on television, is a professional athlete who fights for a living. So you got to get by with that, and that's a wide variety of body styles and weights and heights and everything. I've seen some guys who were 5'6" that also weighed 230 pounds, built like fire plugs, and kick shit out of you. And Danny Hodge was a junior heavyweight champion when he was the toughest man walking the face of fucking earth and could have swept every weight division in the UFC today. So you have to look like a professional athlete. You can't just be as boring as a mud fence. You have to be able to speak and talk to people and get yourself over. And once again, whether that's a promo like Austin Idol's or a promo like Daniel Bryan's or anything in between, if you can get you over, that's what you need. So you need to be able to talk and do that. You need to be able to psychologically put together a match that is not just a string of fucking goofy moves or, just gaga or whatever. It has to take people on a bit of a ride and entertain them and get them hooked and make them want to see more. Either more of a match of you and the guy you just wrestled in a rematch or just more of you in general. And it's like, that's like chess. There's a million different ways to do that. So there's no prototype. John Cena's rookie name, the prototype, because he had a body and he could talk and he could work, etc. The prototype of perfect wrestler. Matt Morgan, the blueprint, because he was completely different. He's 7 feet tall, he was 300 pounds, he could drop kick and leapfrog, he had a 3.8 grade average. He's well spoken until they gave him a stupid gimmick and killed his career. Well, what if he has a defect? He stutters. Yeah, what if I stick my foot up your ass too? There's no blueprint or prototype except that you have to have those qualities. But the great thing about it is, and the reason why you can't ever tell why anybody's going to get over or not, is because everybody's different. Jerry Lawler was as over in his territory as anybody I've ever seen, and he may be one of the best all-around performers I've ever seen in wrestling. Never been in a gym a day in his life, right? That wouldn't work for other guys, but it worked for him because he was a master of psychology and he could talk, and because he was an artist, he had great hand-eye coordination. In his younger days, he took fucking bumps to make all these guys look stupid, but he took them at the right time. You know, once a year, he'd fucking get thrown down the goddamn bleachers and fucking go end over 40 flights of fucking bleachers, right? Then they'd show that tape for 6 months. Because he was fucking smart. I'm not going to do this every fucking night. I'm going to do it once and tape it, right? But somebody else, Abdullah the Butcher, was over. He never left his fucking feet except to drop that elbow on somebody with his big fucking mud flaps. Goddamn, that was the worst part of it. Everybody was different. As long as you did what got you over and you had those qualities that I just mentioned, you could do nothing like another superstar and be just as over as they were. That's the whole thing. That's why wrestling was fun. Now everybody is taught in the same place, by the same people, goes to work in the same place, or wants to go to work in the same place and does the same shit. It's just same. That's what we lost.
So what? I thought I'll piggyback off that, and I wondered what in your mind killed the wrestling business, because it seems like to me the wrestling business on its own is now dead.
Well, and that's another thing. When I say wrestling is dead, people, now look, this guy just sold this out at New Japan, run the Tokyo. I'm not talking about business. I'm talking about the art, the performance, the sport of wrestling. Yeah. Sports entertainment is alive and well, and actually doing better lately. With the New Japan's doing good, the resurgence of the NWA, Ring of Honor is doing good. Impact's still around. God, by the way, anybody here, if you need to join the Federal Witness Protection Program, I can get you booked on Impact Television. And I like some of those guys up there, but God damn Jesus Christ, it just is too long. It's just too much. But the sport and the art of wrestling, pro wrestling, rather than sports entertainment, has seen better days because even if there's more people that want to see it than there are actually still living practitioners able to do it. Because when you think about this, a guy like Terry Funk could go out in a crowd of people that were smart to the wrestling business and start a riot. Because his motto was, I can't make them believe wrestling's real, but I can make them believe I'm real. I've seen him go up to drunks in the front row, bigger than him, that you knew were drunk and would like to pop somebody, and this was back in the old days before everybody, the security and lawsuits and all this stuff. He'd get up in their face and back them down just with the look on his face, because you could look at him. I could look at him when I was working with him, and I knew better. I'd say, this fucking guy is, right now, Terry ain't there. This is not a sane human, and we don't need to fuck with him, because he got into his shit. Bill Dundee had a great line in the Memphis Heat documentary. The city of Memphis, Tennessee alone sold 400,000 wrestling tickets in 1974. 50 shows at the Mid-South Coliseum. They averaged 8,000 every Monday night because of a string of sellouts in the summer, Lawler's first big year. But it was all personal issues. And guys on TV Saturday morning, 2 out of 3 people in Memphis watched the TV every Saturday morning. They did a 75 share. Fucking Dundee said, the people believed it because we believed it. You lived your gimmick. The guys didn't used to call each other by their real names in the locker room. Last time I went to Ring of Honor, I didn't know who anybody was talking about. They were all using their real names, which I didn't know. I'm like, who the fuck are you talking to? Oh, I'm talking to Pat there. I said, George, whatever. They lived their gimmick. They kept their secrets. They were constantly in that mindset and in that bubble. And it wasn't about, let's script this promo or let's come up with this great match that we're laying out ahead of time. They just were who they were. And you got to finish. You and me, you up with your finish. Okay, let's go do it. 30 minutes later, they come back, see what the people liked, and fucking just do it. All from there. One time, I went back to Memphis after we'd left Crockett, just do a little thing with the Fabulous Ones. And we had a 6-man. It was Stan and Steve and me against God, I can't even remember, but it was Lawler and somebody, because we turned the Fab's heel on Lawler. But anyway, so what do you want to do, Ken? He said, should go out and wild, 5 or 10, and then get some heat on, I think Jeff Jarrett was in the match. Get some heat on Jeff, give me the tag. Boom, bang, 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 whatever the fuck. It took about 40 seconds for him to say that. We were out there for 25 minutes. Wild was code for, we're going to fight for 5 or 10 minutes all over the fucking place with anything that happens to be in front of us that we happen to see, and we're going to make it look good, and then stop one of the baby faces and waltz him across Texas, and he'd give me a tag, and a boom, and they would make something out of that. Everybody was in there, was themselves and in their mindset, so you just did it. So that's the thing, is that there wasn't a lot of contrivance to it, and chances are, I had my pants ripped off on live Memphis television one morning by Terry Funk, had no idea that was going to happen, and they didn't know whether I was wearing underwear or not. Which it was about, at that point, about a 50-50 fucking chance, and they won. They erred on the side of safety, because we didn't get them kicked off the air. But you didn't, because my reaction was real. I was mortified, right? And people still remember that to this day around that area. They go, I remember Terry Funk ripped your pants off. Yeah, so do I.
Can you say you smelled a sissy or something?
And the deal was, he was promoting, it was going to be Lawler teaming up with Funk for the first time, and their partner Coco Ware against Jimmy Hart's Evil First Family in the main event at the Coliseum the next day. And so just to get, he was calling Jimmy Hart a sissy. I hate sissies, Lance. And then he sees me out there, I think I see a sissy. I'm like, oh, fuck. And here's the rib. Lawler did this to me as a rib because he knew I idolized Funk, right? But I'm managing Jesse Barr, Art Barr's older brother. And at the time, Jesse, we come in and we see the lineup, and there's Jesse's teaming up with the Masked Marauder 1 and 2 against Lawler, Coco, and Funk. And he thought, well, it's time for me to give my notice and quit. They're teaming me up with job guys. They're going to job me out. I need to go, switch territories. He did it just to get me in the match so that Funk could fuck with me in some description. And they didn't know what he just called the pants spot on the fly. They cornered me. Coco had me one side and Funk had me the other side. And I try to roll in the ring, and there's Jesse grabbing my hands to pull me in. And Funk used to do this to the fans in Amarillo that would hit the ring. Think about this. A drunk fan hits the ring in Amarillo and gonna fucking fight somebody, right? Whether he's got a knife or whatever the fuck, you don't know. But instead of getting in a fight with the guy, you don't know who this is, grab his pockets and pants him, rip the pants, boom. When a guy's standing there in his underwear, if he's drunk in the middle of 5,000 people, he's gonna, and he runs. So that's what they would do. They'd have so many drunks hitting the ring and trying to fight the wrestlers, they'd just rip their pants off. So when Jesse's pulling me in the ring, Terry grabs both of my pockets and just went, I got no pants. And I really had no pants. I had to do an interview at the end of the show. I get Jesse Barr's athletic tape and taped my pants back around me. And then had to drive to Nashville like that. I had to go through the drive-thru at the Church's Fried Chicken. I couldn't go inside to get food because I've got literally half my pants on, right? But Jerry Jarrett even thought of this one night. He did an angle when he was the promoter in Louisville, where Wayne Ferris, Honky Tonk Man, and Larry Latham, Moondog Spot, and Danny Davis, my old partner, they were the Blonde Bombers at the time. They're beating up Lawler and Dundee, and Jerry Jarrett goes in and tries to stop them, and they get Jerry down, and they rip his clothes off, and they beat him up and everything, right? He didn't bring other clothes because he knew that there was going to be 300 fans waiting out the back of the building like they always were every Tuesday night to see the wrestlers leaving. So after he had that, and then they saved him and everything, he leaves wearing one of Dundee's t-shirts and a jacket tied around his waist and his dress shoes and dress socks to show the fans that he was not prepared for that to happen. It was totally unplanned, right? But in the meantime, it got so much heat. Well, they were actually fucking, Lawler was doing his thing or whatever the fuck and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, one of the fans jumps in the ring before Jerry gets there. And the cops hit the ring, and they throw this guy over the top rope back out of the ring to the waiting cops so they can arrest him. But Jerry Jarrett slides in the other side in street clothes, and one of the cops turns around and sees him and doesn't know who it is at first, puts his hand on his gun. He's going to draw a gun on Jarrett, right? And as soon as Jerry's head pops up, he's, oh, I see who it is. Okay. But you know, you did, and that's why you didn't know what the fuck was going to go on. It's why it was so wild. Now it's like guys can't get over anymore, even to the best of their talent and their ability, when it's never been a situation where the fans knew more that the promoter or someone, every time a wrestler comes down the aisle, the fans know that someone has told him what his name is, what he's supposed to say, what he's supposed to do, who's going to win the match, possibly even given him his, oh, I hate this word, character. My mom used to say, he's a real character. That's the way you use character. Now, when a wrestler says, well, what would my character do? I don't know. What would a fucking stupid prick do? Because that's exactly what you sound like. It's not your character. What would you do if this was real? What would you do? And if your answer is not correct, then you don't need to have this gimmick you got. It's a gimmick, not a character. But anyway, the fans know that guys have been told what to do, so therefore they know, well, I can't go too far. I mean, there used to be an element of danger. I ran from guys when I was the photographer and I was smart for business because I knew that if I didn't, they would catch me and beat the fuck out of me for real because I would have buried them in front of people, right? But also when it was the Sheik or somebody like that, fuck it, I'm giving him plenty of room. Sheik in Philadelphia one night when Joel Goodhart brought him in to wrestle Abdullah the Butcher, and this was like 1990, Sheik's like fucking 70 at that point. He decided to give him the whole Sheik experience. They send a bunch of guys to run in to pull him apart. He starts blading all the guys that are running in. Oh, we're going to bleed, you're going to bleed, you're going to bleed. And the first time I saw the Sheik live was in Indianapolis at Market Square Arena when he wrestled Bruiser in a cage. He brought a 10-foot python back when you didn't do that all the time. And me and my mom were sitting on the third row, right? We had to duck and cover up because the first two rows of grown men climbed back over their chairs and to get away from the Sheik with that, because you know he would fuck you up, right? There you go. But that's what we've lost because people now kind of know. Well, and also there's corporate ownership. Well, I could sue. I could go to college or put my kids through college on, you know, if they hurt me or whatever. But back in the old days, once again, at any wrestling show in Indianapolis, you see those people trying to go after Heenan, and the cops trying to drag him off. And the cops, it just used to be you'd hit the ring, try to get the heel. Chances are you get your ass handed to you. Then the cops would nightstick you a couple times, throw you in the back alley. Now either the fan would sue the wrestlers would sue the building, the cops would sue the fan, you know, so it just, you can't get that element of danger, realism, and spontaneity anymore because it's just, you know, and it's sad because that was part of the edge of the whole thing. You didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. Is Jim Morrison going to take his dick out tonight? We don't know. Could be. You know, anyway. Oh, shit, guys, we've gone a little over, but drum roll, please. Let's do one more. Who has not had the chance to ask a question?
What's up, everybody? I'm redoing this again. I don't know what happened. I tried to go YouTube Live, but I don't know what happened. But it was, ladies and gentlemen, you guys will know, this is Season 3, Show 2. Tons of big names already. Show 2. Thank Jason Maples for letting me do Heroes and Legends. Him and Coletta for letting me film and do interviews. What is my favorite moment in TV? Well, there's plenty of them. So yeah, I don't know. Hard to tell what season 3 is going to bring because tons of huge names have been on already. Great White, Jack Russell's Great White. Sorry, Jack Russell's Great White. Another great. I got to interview Jeff Jarrett. Teddy Long came in. I mean, Jim Cornette's Francine. Road Warrior Animal Select. It's like a rush for me with these big name interviews. So I was like, wow. I said that was for Heroes and Legends, but yeah, I want to talk about Heroes and Legends. Went to the event. Andrew Stone and Charles Stone bought a Dos Landis shirt, and some little girl, they wanted me to give it to him personally, so I gave it to her. And I got an email from her grandma. So Wesley, if you could show that. So yeah, that email touched me. It meant a lot to me. It brought me to tears. Yeah, I'm very thankful and blessed to be where I'm at in my career.
I do it for stuff like that. I do it for the love, my dedication. I do it for my kids, my family, people I love. So yeah, my defining moment in TV in entertainment and TV is tough, but this one definitely is one of those up there. So yeah, thank you guys for watching show 2 of season 3. Thanks for the support. Yeah, who knows what's gonna happen with season 3 and season 1 or show 1 and show 2. Big names. Wow. Stay tuned for more. Thank you for watching show 2, season 3. I'm out like a knockout.
Dose. Dose.